Stadium is going to try this, and it will be a 60, let's call it 63-yard attempt. Spotted at the Bronco 47-yard line. Sam's a little hot. Elam's kick. Oh, the line drive. It's got enough distance.
What is good, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rhett Johnson, and I am joining you live from the off-season with my dear brother, Ian. Ian, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, man. The off season's in full swing. It's a bummer that our season had to end the way it did, but I mean, you know me. I like the off season. I live for the off season. I enjoy the combine. I enjoy the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Game. I enjoy obviously the draft process. I love when free agency starts. So listen, let's have some fun. It didn't roll our way in the season, but 14 wins is still 14 wins. Now we'll see how the Broncos respond looking ahead to 26.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like it could be a whole show just doing a moratorium on the season and just feeling sad. But honestly, I don't want to do that. That's not the kind of fan I am. I would rather take these not so fun feelings of we lost and bury them, and let's move forward. Let's I don't know. It felt nice that well, losing Bo Nix sucked, but it was also kind of nice
Yep.
because the season sort of ended then for me. And if Denver had been able to pull off winning in the AFC Championship and had made it to the Super Bowl, even then I would still just like it was all house money. And so as infuriating a game that was, I'm more than ready to turn the page. And we've been away for a couple weeks and a lot of things have happened. So the first thing, Ian, is there any particular NFL storyline with coaching changes with organizations? Is there anything that has really stuck out to you in this last week that I don't know if there's with the 10 different coaching vacancies being filled, there's all kinds of stuff to talk about. What's something that you see and that's been kind of stuck in your brain?
Yeah, I guess a few different things stick out. First and foremost, I would say the uh, the way that the Steelers kind of zigged where they usually zag when it comes to coaching hires. Obviously, you have
Hmm.
famously, the last several decades, you have three head coaches. You have Chuck Noll, then you go to Bill Cowher, and then you go to Mike Tomlin. Very long tenured, all guys who at the time they were brought on, young ascending defensive minds. And now the Steelers have hired Mike McCarthy, which listen, he's a Yinzer. Okay, he's a Pittsburgh
Woo!
guy. Okay, he loves the city of Pittsburgh. He loves the Steelers and everything. I'm not even necessarily here to critique that hire per se. I just think, man, that is really bucking the trend from what you normally do, especially Rhett, when you consider how many impressive young defensive minds were available. I mean, I think I remember talking about how, like, as
Hmm.
soon as Mike Tomlin was let go, Brian Flores would be a really interesting fit there. It felt like Jeff Hafley, who's now the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, is somebody they could have considered. And then also Jesse Minter, who just so happens to have taken a job in the division going to the Baltimore Ravens. So that was interesting for me.
Hmm.
Um, and you can tell McCarthy really wanted this job. And it's going to be interesting to see, like, what is the pulse on Aaron Rodgers with that? Is he going to come back? Is he retiring anyway? How much of that relationship is in good standing? I don't know. I don't even necessarily care per se, but it was interesting to me. Um, the other thing I noticed, this isn't great. There were 10 head coach openings, and I think like yesterday, Mike LaFleur, the last two openings, the Raiders and the
Hmm.
Cardinals. Mike LaFleur was announced for the Cardinals, and then it seems like impending that Clint Kubiak is going to go to the Las Vegas Raiders. This is an awesome 10 head coach openings, and honestly, only one coach of color who gets a
Hmm.
job. Robert Sala gets a job with the Tennessee Titans. Really happy to see him get a second chance. I mean, people are going to hire who they hire, but that still feels a little stinky, especially considering how many guys of color that are promising in this league. It felt like were available. Obviously, I'm happy to retain Vance Joseph. I think it's great that we have him
Mm-hmm.
back, but
Mm-hmm.
he's a guy that all season long we were hearing like this guy's going to be getting head coach interviews, and he did, but it just felt like that first wave he got a lot of interviews, and then he didn't really get any second interviews. Brian Flores, again, just I really feel strongly this is a guy who should, he should be getting a head coaching job somewhere, things like
Yeah.
that. So that's a little disappointing to see, but that's also just the nature of things. Yeah, I don't know. Those are
Yeah.
probably my two big takeaways.
I like it. I do want to talk about those things a little bit. I am interested in what's going on in Pittsburgh. Um, Honestly, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, as an organization, the ownership there just believes that they can't be a losing franchise. Um, that's the way that they're operating. They are operating as if it is a given that they are going to have winning seasons. Uh, man, uh, to to go out and hire a Mike McCarthy, you go out and you get a guy who's like he's an offensive hire, is an offensive guy, but really has been seen as like a CEO head coach role. He
Sure.
is on his third head coaching gig, right?
Yep.
Um, and it just felt like if you're going to have a CEO who's made like I, I don't think he's a super inspiring guy to the players. Like it doesn't feel like a super exciting hire to me.
Yep.
It feels like I feel about the Steelers exactly how I felt about them right before they fired Mike Tomlin. Like it's
Sure.
you like the best of Mike McCarthy is reheated Mike Tomlin. And like the best he got is like the worst of Tomlin. And so I don't see any ceiling. I don't see any upside there. Um feels feels really really weird for them to do that, to go with an older one. And yeah, am I wrong in remembering that like Aaron Rodgers like ran Mike McCarthy out of town in Green Bay at one point, like
It
10
felt
years
like
ago?
that. It felt like that relationship was sour. It
Yeah.
feels like a long time ago. So who knows?
So
You know.
whatever. That it just feels like they're like, yeah, we are a good organization just because we're a good organization because we're a good organization. Who needs to make culture? Uh, like you said, he's a Yenzer. So like, here's this guy is probably buddies with ownership already. Like probably knows them. They're probably around, and it
Right.
just seemed like an easy. Like it felt unstealery in a way that like I'm for like is it possible that the Steelers are actually just like the lucky version of these other like these kind of old like the Giants and whatnot, these franchises that are
Sure.
run by these families where it's like, okay, yes, it's like a monarchy, right? Like you had a couple run of good kings and then like the next one comes up and you're not always getting like the top, the top level
Sure.
candidate here. So I'm afraid. I'm genuinely afraid for the Steelers. Like they because if it goes wrong, Pittsburgh isn't actually in a position to go and right it. Like they could all of a sudden just be a poverty franchise. Like
Yep.
it could all be gone. Um, for Pittsburgh, they're holding. It's like Green Bay. Like Green Bay has to be a certain amount good all the time because of their small market and because of whatever. So that's my thought. I'm concerned and upset by the Steelers because they did something that's boring and I think is going to
Now,
be bad. Ugh.
now I will say this, Rhett. He I will give McCarthy credit. So, if I'm not mistaken, he hired Patrick Graham for his defensive coordinator position. That's a
Okay.
guy who I said a couple times this season because we played the Raiders
Mhm.
at the time of
Yeah.
the season. He's a really underrated defensive coordinator in this league. He's had some
Hmm.
really nice defensive units for several years, and it just feels like he never really gets brought up when you're talking about like the next guys up for head coach interviews. But I think he's a really solid hire. I think he'll get that defense playing really well. We'll see what McCarthy, what kind of juice he still has on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah,
Yeah.
interesting hire for the
Yeah.
Steelers to say the least.
Don't
So
get it. Don't get it. Whatever. Um, and then, yeah, uh, it's strange. uh, The NFL is always a who you know league. It's always a all of these things. It's you hire the people that you know. That is just a natural part of the process, and it feels like every time we've had the Rooney Rule now in place for I think almost 20 years or something, or 15 years, something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And it feels like we've gotten to the point with the Rooney Rule where it feels almost a little bit nasty now. It like
Well,
so many of the
yeah,
hires, like even for us, we'll get to talking about Davis Webb or whatever, but like we knew it was Davis Webb the whole time.
sure.
And
Yeah,
so doing some of those interviews, and I don't think we get rid of the Rooney Rule. That's not at all what we do, but
right.
it's I feel for a guy like Vance Joseph, having to ask that question whenever he's getting interviewed, being like, is this a compliance thing? Is this whatever? I will say if I were an owner, um, it seems to me like if you look at the market, I would be like, we are only going to hire people of color because it seems like statistically we're going to more likely like there's a deficiency in the market here. Like this is it appears to be a thing that doesn't actually affect how good of a coach you are, but does affect how often you get hired. So uh we'll
Yeah. Yeah, it's
we'll see.
interesting. I agree. I don't think the Rooney Rule is the problem inherently. I think the
Hmm.
problem is the owners in the league, and it's just one of those things where it kind of just the results of it kind of tell you everything you need to know about it. I mean, there are guys these guys that you know these black coaches who I think deserve second chances, and they don't get them, and instead we go with the next young white offensive mind, and I don't know a
I think
couple of
it's not even like it's not even an outward like, oh man, the NFL is just racist. It's literally like, can can we tell Kyle Shanahan and tell Sean McVay to hang out with more people of color, because
well, hey, Saleh got hired.
like,
Okay,
yeah, Robert Sala,
Saleh
yeah,
got he's
like
doing everything he can.
it's not a white guy problem, it's a
Uh,
McVay Shanahan problem.
uh, yeah, and listen, I mean, we're a couple of 30-something
Mhm.
white dudes. We're not going to solve the problem, but it's just something noteworthy, and
we
maybe
we
you want to
might
see.
we might give us a
Oh,
shot.
we could. Let's see.
I,
We're going to
I've
start
got
our
the
own coaching
confidence to
search.
do it. Yeah.
But yeah, Rhett, any other things that stuck out to you about like the coach hiring cycle or anything else since the Broncos got sent to Cancun?
Um, Man, I am fascinated at this Super Bowl. I was thinking about um how, like, a lot of times I think people might bring this point up in like a negative, but honestly, I'm like intrigued by it. When was the last time we had a Super Bowl with such little star power at quarterback? Like, I've been thinking
Um,
back, and like the Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford one, like neither one of those guys were at the time super crazy top tier, had been around Hall of Fame guys, but like Joe Burrow was like a sensation that season. And so going back, I mean, it's like
well,
maybe early 2000s. It's like possibly
I would say
pre,
Drake. I would say Drake May's been a sensation this season. He's,
yeah,
it's either him and
set
Stafford's going to win MVP. You
second
know,
year quarterback. It feels like the 2005 Super Bowl 40, 20 years ago.
yeah,
Where
yeah, with the
Ben
Hasselbeck and
Roethlisberger,
Roethlisberger.
yes, second year quarterback, Matt Hasselbeck, who like had been good, but like was kind of just now getting his flowers or whatever. And I mean, I'm really interested, and I think it's exciting to have new faces. Just overall, the AFC this year, I was like, wow, it like just the whole playoff picture. I was like, man, it is insane that like one of these guys is going to go away with a ring, and that's going to be really cool. Like super happy for Sam Darnold and what he's doing.
Yep.
But fascinated that we are like I think we're truly at the end of that that golden era of like quarterbacks being like like the leading, like like movie star leading men or whatever. Like I know that it's actually been gone for a long time, but for the first time deep in my soul, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Manning and Brady and
Yep.
all of that ilk, they're gone now,
Yeah. Well,
and
Rhett, why don't we just go ahead and drop a take that'll usher us all into a new era? Okay.
do it.
Quarterbacks don't matter. Okay.
QBs don't matter. I'm cool.
QBs,
I'm
they
in.
don't matter. They don't matter. So
Listen, you got to exceed a threshold, and then you need to get just the best roster, and then don't no second contract QBs. Um,
Bo Nix, enjoy it while you got it, buddy. You
yeah,
got a
Bo
couple
Nix,
more years.
you got 3 years, bud. You
Maybe,
got 3 years.
maybe we'll pick up the 5th year option. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, do something like that. I'm cool. I'm cool with that take. But yeah, we will. I don't know. We'll see what's going on with that. But that's just exciting. I don't know. We're living in a new era. Like it's cool. It's
New
it's
era.
no longer the before times. That's what I've been thinking about. Um, Ian, let's talk about some of the coaching staff changes that Denver
Yes.
went through. So first one, we had to pay the bills. We lost Jim Leonard and Pete Carmichael both
Mm-hmm.
to the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have what are your thoughts? Because I'm nervous
Yeah.
for them.
I could care less that Pete Carmichael is gone. They can have him. I'm not even saying that's a bad hire for Buffalo. Like Joe Brady's going to call the play, so it
Hmm.
makes sense to bring in an offensive coordinator who, like, he's coached with. Like they were on the Saints staff together for a little bit, and I mean Pete Carmichael's got years and years of experience, so I think it's fine for them. I just don't care that he's gone. I to me there is, and Sean Payton is a prime offender of this. One of my pet peeves, one of my icks is like the long tenured coach who just has his guys. Okay,
Hmm.
Gary Kubiak was like this too, man. Like he
Yep.
he had his guys. Like everywhere he went, he wanted old Rico Dennison with him. He wanted
Yeah.
Brian Periani coaching the tight end. Like
Hmm.
he had his guys. Has his guys too. So when we fired Joe Lombardi, I was delighted
Hmm.
because I'm sure he does stuff. Like I'm sure he's but it just felt like there was no need for him to be there. As Broncos fans, we've all been talking for a long time about how we like. Is there a way to get rid of Joe Lombardi so we can promote Davis Webb to offensive coordinator?
And
So
someone really told Sean, kill your darlings, man. Kill your darlings. And he
yeah,
said yes.
yeah. So I think that's great. I before I move over to the defensive ones, I I think that Broncos country is being a little ridiculous with the Davis Webb call plays thing. Um, I don't even know. Are we even sure that's even a thing? Because like Rap Sheet like talked about it a little bit. He's like, yeah, Sean wanted Joe Brady because he was even considering maybe giving up play calling, and all year long everybody was like, we should let Davis Webb call the plays. It's like, dude, this guy's 31. He calls
Hmm.
plays in a preseason game. Where are we getting all this stuff? So I don't know about that. I kind of think it's insane stuff to think that he's gonna give Davis Webb play calling. And I don't like people use the argument of like, well, what other reason would he turn down like offensive coordinator jobs where he would like the Ravens interviewed him and he would have gotten to call plays there for Jesse Minter. In my opinion, Rhett, Davis Webb is such a hot name right now that like it's pretty much a guarantee next coaching cycle he is
Yeah.
going to get interviews. Now, what could happen is if he went somewhere else where he calls plays, if it ends up not being impressive, like that could kill his head coaching stock. So I actually think it's smart and ideal for him to stay here in Denver for at least one more year. It's really like I don't foresee whatever happens. I don't foresee any of it affecting Davis Webb's. Because think about it, like even if Denver's offense isn't great, I mean, people could still look at him and be like, yeah, well, I mean, Sean's calling the plays. Like Davis Webb,
Yeah.
he's the quarterback raves about him, and he's young and exciting. So I think it's smart. I just think he's not going to be calling plays, and I don't think that's something we need to be upset about. Um,
Before
uh,
bef- before
yeah,
we
go ahead.
before we move on to defense, since we have started with an offensive thing, Ian, I want us to stop and I want us to think about our new offensive coordinator, Davis Webb. Um, and remember that back in a simpler time, in a time before COVID, back in 2018, um, a man by the name of Ben Baskin for Sports Illustrated wrote maybe the single greatest wild off-season article ever written about Davis Webb. Um, the title of the article was Davis Webb will be ready when it's time to step out of Eli Manning's shadow. When he was just a backup quarterback in New York. And Ian, I'm just going to read you some of my favorite quotes from this article. Okay.
I love it. Let's go.
All right. Davis Webb wants you to know how strong his arm is. He's not bashful about that. I can throw it better than anybody, he says. I have a great arm. Let him continue. I feel like I can make every throw. My arm strength is probably too strong. Uh, it talks about how ridiculously impressive he is in practice, and how Odell Beckham even thinks he's great. And then it's not those details in this article that I love. It's this stuff. This next paragraph is my favorite. He has a playlist for each day of the week. Did you know that, Ian?
I didn't know this.
Monday is for alternative music. Mumford and Sons, The Lumineers, Coldplay.
Okay, so he's that kind of guy, huh?
Tuesday is for country.
Oh dear
Parentheses.
God.
He's a Texas kid. In parentheses. And Wednesday he plays old school rock. First off, just grammatically, Ian. Monday is for alternative music. Colon. Tuesday is for country. Parentheses. Wednesday he plays old school rock. Double hyphen. Tom Petty, Jackson Brown, Stevie Nicks. Period. Thursday is for rap, and Thursday is for rap. He doesn't go into anything. Uh, Friday, Ian. Friday is reserved exclusively for Kings of Leon.
Oh dear God.
His favorite band.
His favorite band is Kings of Leon.
Davis Webb's arm strength is too strong, and his favorite band is Kings of Leon. Saturday is when he hits shuffle on all 6,000 songs in his library. There's a rule that no one is allowed to skip a song. And Sunday is for R&B. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, Last year, Webb even asked Coach Ben McAdoo if he could get his own personal printer in the room. He wants a printer, Ian. But why a printer? Because he's got binders to fill, a lot of them. Webb is obsessed with printing out screenshots from film study, statistic, news report quotes, anything that he finds interesting or edifying, and filing them away in a 3-ring binder. He estimates that right now in his apartment, he has 25 binders, each with more than 200 pages stuffed inside. Back when he was 6 years old, he began drawing play designs on note cards. Now he has a binder that contains his own personal playbook for when he eventually starts coaching. So get ready, Broncos country. Um, the last bit there is that Eli Manning began calling him Dragon, um, and uh, and that everyone just called him Dragon. Um,
I don't want there to be any more context to that part.
that's,
just like
that's
just as a little aside, like, oh yeah, and everyone called him Dragon.
it says yes. Manning calls Webb Dragon, and no, Webb will not explain the origin, saying only that it's a lifestyle. That's all.
Okay, Davis Webb.
So yeah, that's my best Pablo Torre impression for you.
Compartmentalizing your music genres by day of the week, that feels insane to me. But it's probably like behavior of like a lot of like smart and like successful people. I don't know, but anyway,
It feels a lot to me like he did it one time and then was like, I'm just going to tell people that that's what I do.
like, yeah, this is just going to be one of my things. We
Like,
love that's one thing we love as dudes. We love having things.
we
you know?
love having things.
I don't know what it is about, but if you can have a thing, then you want to. Yeah. Anyways,
Also, just like they live in a world where like what Davis Webb, like rookie Davis Webb, backup QB is out there like determining the music for practice.
that's insane, man. Well, you know, like Eli Manning, like what's that dude listening to? Like,
No, yeah, Eli. That's true, but like Odell Beckham Jr. like listened to Kings of Leon every Friday for a season because Davis Webb,
because Davis Webb said so. That's why.
like, Oof. Do shout out Kings of Leon though. They're yeah. They are
They're
unbelievably of their time.
yeah. Of all the bands, they are one of them. I think
Their
that
guitarist
they got a couple songs I like. Yeah.
their guitarist was like the last really great like famous rock and roll guitarist that just chain smoked through every show. So shout out.
What happened to the game I love?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, how about
Um,
that? Nice little profile on Davis Webb. That's
yeah,
interesting.
that's what that's what we're getting. Ian, thoughts on Jim Leonard leaving
Yeah, that one
and Vance
hurts.
Joseph staying? Yeah.
That one hurts. I'm really glad VJ staying. It became kind of like the back half of the season. It kind of became in vogue to like hate Vance Joseph and be like, oh man, he's gonna leave and we're gonna get our 2 third-round picks and it's gonna be good riddance. And like, I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's great that he's coming back, and I think in the playoffs, like I know the Bills put a lot of points on us, but like we were getting turnovers, and then I thought our defense played fantastic against the Patriots. They certainly were not the reason we lost that game. I'm excited about it, and you know what's even more important about it, Rhett? It doesn't matter what I think
Hmm.
about it. Multiple players have gone out of their way to express like they wanted VJ back, like he's many of them. I can't remember which one it was. One of them said like he's the smartest coach I've ever been around. I want to say maybe Zach Allen, which would make
Hmm.
sense because Zach Allen has only been
Around
defensively
Vance Joseph.
defensively coordinated by Vance Joseph.
He is so
It's
much
like
smarter than my college coach.
what's his name? Owen Daniels only
Yeah.
ever played for Gary Kubiak's offense. Like he went his whole career only as a Kubiak tight end. Yeah. Anyways, shout out Owen Daniels by the way.
Owen
Um,
Daniels,
Underrated
Super Bowl
part of that
champion.
Super Bowl run, man.
Dude,
Uh,
for his first half against New England in the AFC Championship game,
yeah, dude.
won us
That
the AFC.
that
Come on.
like first touchdown, like right up the seam and see him in the
Hmm.
end zone. Just yeah.
I
Anyway,
believe he caught two that day. Anyway,
yeah, he did. You're right. He did.
crazy,
Um,
crazy stuff.
yeah. Yeah. Leonard Hurts though. Leonard's a really good coach. I expect him to probably deviate a little bit from like I wouldn't consider him of the Vance Joseph tree per se. I
Hmm.
expect him to probably run more of a Fangio-ish. VJ is a disciple of Wade Phillips, um,
Hmm.
and I would say Leonard's probably going to do more of a Fangio type, defense. And I think it's a really good hire for Buffalo. It stinks for us. I'm curious, especially Addison Lynch, our defensive backs coach. Also, he was fired. So yeah, we got some coaches.
Hmm.
I think too. We're still maybe looking for a wide receivers coach. We fired Kerry Colbert. Um, so I don't think we've hired anybody there. So it'll be interesting to see how we fill those positions. I
Um,
want to shout out. Sorry, go ahead.
who's Logan Kilgore? Do you know
Oh,
anything about
Logan.
this man?
Yeah. So yeah. No, uh, listen. I was just about to talk about Logan
Oh,
Kilgore. Okay,
okay. Hey,
so
great.
no, it's okay. So Logan Kilgore, he's a quality control coach. On offense the last couple years, I believe. He's 35 years old. He's a former college quarterback, Middle Tennessee State, really good at Middle Tennessee State. I think he might have played professionally. Not he was with the Saints in the offseason of 2014, so that makes sense. Sean Payton connection. Okay, but then he went up to Canada. He played a few years for the Toronto Argos, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the Edmonton Eskimos. And then pretty quickly after that, got into coaching. Rhett, that's about the extent of what I know about him, other than he's another one of those guys that's just regarded very highly in that building. I think
What
a
are his
lot of
thoughts on
people.
Kings of Leon?
I, I mean, you'll have to ask him. I don't. What day of the week? It's Monday, so I don't know what music he listens to on Mondays.
Is Crawl his favorite? Because it's mine.
Crawl is your favorite Kings of Leon song?
Yeah,
Okay.
it might be the worst thing about me.
I know, yeah, I don't like that one, but I mean, I don't care. I'm not like the Kings of Leon guy. Okay. Uh, yeah. Anyways, yeah, he's well thought of in that building. I think a lot of people, it was kind of the natural assumption that when Davis Webb was promoted, that Kilgore would kind of jump in and be the quarterback's coach now. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for that one. It sounds like he's a bright young coach, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. So
Cool. I like it. I like it. We have a we're making a pipeline of offensive things. We don't need to worry about losing our offensive play calling talent because that's our head coach, and we don't need to worry about losing all these young offensive coordinators because we just keep. You know what? In a couple years, we're gonna have quarterbacks coach Ben DiNucci, right? Uh, so
I wouldn't put it past us.
so we're. I think we're all set. Like I don't know. It's exciting to hear just like, oh yeah, hey, I think that we're kind of setting ourselves up to be a little bit of laboratory for some of these guys. Um, we will see. I'm excited for Jim Leonard in Buffalo, just in terms
Yeah.
of I think he's a good fit there. They
Oh,
have they're used to being they're like we're not the biggest, fastest, strongest guys, but we're all kind of smart defenders, able to do some crazy stuff with zones, and that's going to fit him. Um,
totally.
I have no faith in the Bills franchise as a whole after like their whole debacle with the
Yeah, that
with
wasn't great.
yeah, owners shouldn't talk. But
Never.
yeah, overall, I think the coaching staff is in a great place to hold on to Vance Joseph when, like, yes, you said against the Bills, there was a lot of points, but like fundamentally, they were the Bills' offense was bigger and faster and stronger than us. We could not stop them for the second year in a row. We were not big enough up front, and Vance
Yep.
figured out. He figured out another way. He figured out a way to he caused turnovers, and that was the only reason we didn't get absolutely blown out in that game is because we forced slash they gave up five different turnovers, and that wins us the ball game. So sure,
Yeah.
they never punted or whatever, but like that's a wild coaching job. That's
Yeah. The way I put it like this, Rhett, is after a wildly successful season where we won 14 games. If take Sean Payton out of the equation, who are the four after Sean? Who are the four most important coaches on our staff? I would have said Vance Joseph, Davis Webb, Jim Leonard, Zach Streif, in whatever order you want to do those. Well, we
mhm.
held on to 3 of 4 of those after a 14-win season where we went to the AFC Championship. So, I mean, that's pretty good, you
Yeah.
know?
Thank God everyone thought we were frauds.
Thank goodness. Even though they're hiring away all of our coaches.
Yeah, even though they're trying. Um, okay, so yeah, we had coaches. Um, Now, Ian, I want to have a conversation about the roster. Uh,
Okay.
and so we're going to do a segment called CSI, just
Okay.
college scout. Ian, we're gonna go
Great.
investigating. We are searching for um, a type. When you're looking around the roster that we have now, before we even get to names of college guys, before we get to, I mean, you can throw out names in this. It's whatever. There's no rules.
Sure.
Um, but before we get to looking at specifics or even like ranking, what's the best off-ball linebacker? Who's the best defensive tackle? Whatever in the draft. Just what is the prototype? What is the outline? What traits are we looking for to add to this roster? And where do you think, is that going to be something we find in the draft or maybe free agency? So I just want to know, like, who are we out here looking for? Like, you have
Yeah.
the floor, Ian. Tell me
So,
what we need to look for.
so in other words, Red, essentially, what you're asking is like, what are our roster needs?
Yeah,
Essentially, and
but
you're
like in
wanting,
a fun way.
but in a fun way. Okay, yeah, I got it. So one of my big things is, I mean, rep we need, and this almost sounds like so obvious because like who doesn't want this, but we need a true inline Y tight end. Okay,
Mm,
like we've got Evan Ingram, who's kind of the big wide receiver. Lucas Kroll is kind of fit in that mold. Then you've got Adam Troutman, who's probably the closest thing resembling a Y, which is just that's not great.
yeah,
Okay, we got 2025 Rhett Johnson, my guy, Caleb Lohner, playoff Caleb Lohner.
Hey, playoff Caleb, baby.
Was he a game day inactive though? Right?
He wasn't game day inactive. I need you to know.
Red was so hyped. He was so
I had money on a Caleb Loner touchdown on that game.
He didn't even play. Oh man, that's funny.
But hey, he made it to the 53.
And then of course now I'm pretty sure.
I think he's the only one of my guys that ended the season on the roster.
Oh geez. Anyways, so we have Caleb Loner. We have I don't think we have him anymore, but we had Unk for a little bit. Mercedes Lewis as just the strictly blocker. Rhett, I want a guy who can do both. I had to go watch the Bears with Colston Loveland all season long, and okay. Caveat: there's no getting to dunk on people because you were right about a guy like Colston Loveland, because like a lot of people love. He went 10th overall. Obviously, like I knew this dude was one of the best players in this draft class. I knew it. You had a 6'6", 250 something pound dude that ran like a gazelle, like great hands. He's got the frame to improve in blocking, and he just was unbelievable this year. And it's like I want that, like I want that so bad. I want a guy who like we can leave on the field in all situations because he can block and he can go out there and make plays in the passing game. We don't have that on our roster. We just don't. Now I didn't know if are we doing a Finding Broncos segment today or not? Because if we aren't, then I'm going to save it. But
we absolutely can if you like. I think your points here though. I'm hearing a thread of this is we need people that can do. We need a tight end that can do both. But thinking about it, we need a running back that can do both. We don't really have by the end of the season, we didn't have a running back that was like we had passing downs for RJ Harvey and running downs were Jaleel McLaughlin. We don't have a wide receiver that is both a field stretcher and a good inline blocker, or also like a big target go getter. Like we have guys that can do every job, but no one that can do any one job.
Totally.
So
and I think like the getting a true inline Y will maybe be one of the biggest ways to impact our offense. Yeah, right. You said it. Just to hit on a couple other things. Yeah, like a running back. I mean, if you can just find like what J.K. Dobbins was, which I would be very open to bringing him back on that similar contract that we gave. Like, I have no problem with him being back, but you want to address that room too. Get a consistent like short yardage chain mover. I think that Jaleel McLaughlin's a really good pure runner, but the problem is Jaleel's so light that like he can't 15 carries would be about max what he can handle on a week-to-week basis, and that might even be pushing it. So give me like a running back that's dense, that's patient, that has good contact balance and good vision. That he maybe isn't going to do like, he's not going to rip off the 70-yard runs, but he's going to consistently move the chains for you. We need something like that. Yeah, Rhett, I think we need a true X receiver. I think that's something we lack. As much as I love Cortland Sutton, I don't think he is like an ideal X receiver for us. I think it's possible that Pat Bryant ascends to that. You also kind of worry about like how consistently can he stay on the field. I was really towards the end of the year, it was really hard to keep him out there.
He could stay on the field for more than a drive at a time. It's rough.
Yeah, and well, especially I got fired up at the opening drive against Buffalo because he had like 3 catches for 30-something yards. I was like, oh, so we're feeding Pat today. And then, of course, he gets hurt early. We need that. As far as like on the defensive side of the ball, right, I just want the fattest dude. Like, give me some big old fat guys. In the mold of like, man, you remember Tyreek Williams from last year? We have people who I'm so glad he went round 1 because we had some people who are like, you can't take him in the first round. He's got no pass rush juice. I don't care, man. That he's so valuable in the way that he's just a mountain that you have to try and move. We need some of that. We got a great defensive line, but I need like a big dude that can just stuff the run so we can be stout. Right, and then the last thing I'll say is we could really use. I mean, Yeah, I don't know, just a do-it-all, rangy, athletic linebacker. I know that's like, and I understand. I'm talking about all these things like I'm writing a shopping list that I'm going to hand George Payton and Sean Payton and say, okay, go get these. I know that it's not going to be easy. In fact, I would argue like the true X receiver thing. I don't see a clear path to us addressing that this offseason. Like there's not an obvious like, oh, you could do this thing. Where we're picking in the draft. I don't think there's going to be a guy that fits that available. I don't think there's going to be guys like that hitting the market in free agency. You can always sniff around about trades, but I don't even know where to start with that. So I know it's not simple. I'm listing these things off with the understanding that, like, yeah, some of these might not be able to get addressed. That's just the game. That's just roster building. But those are things we need. So
Minnesota doesn't have a GM right now.
Listen, hop on it, dude. Three firsts for Justin Jefferson. I'm sending. I don't even care. I'm sending.
Yeah, just because they don't. We gotta free JJ. We get him.
Make sure you free
I think
JJ, brother.
Yeah,
because there's one JJ that can stay there in Minnesota.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Jettas, please. Jettas. Say Jettas. Yeah, I feel like if we're gonna take a big swing on something like that, getting an X receiver is the one that I want us to use. That I'm willing to use a lot of capital to get the sure thing to go. Okay, hey, no, we know. But I'm hopeful for. I agree big on defensive line. It's just the one. It's kind of the opposite of the offense where we have a bunch of guys that can do any one thing well, and no one that can like plausibly do like all of it well. On defense, it's like we have a whole bunch of guys who are pretty decent against the run and like really good at pass rushing, but like no one that's just specific. Like when we go up against a Bills or another large running team like the Ravens or whatever, we just don't have anyone to throw out against that specific look, and that is really tough. At linebacker, I think a lot of it more as like when you have a tandem, you need one guy that's like the downhill guy, and then one guy that's kind of the side to side / coverage linebacker to kind of cover the ground, one guy to thump. And you need both, ideally, you need both linebackers to feasibly do both all right, so that then you can kind of interchange them. And it feels like, again, that we had a situation where with like to be honest, Dre Greenlaw, when he was in, he feasibly did both well enough. I wish that he was like, honestly, like he wasn't at his tip top. Like maybe my hope is next year is that he's like further removed from his injury, that like hopefully we get a little bit more of a healthier season from Dre Greenlaw next year, but that's who's to say. And then Alex Singleton like could cover the run, couldn't cover the pass, and that like that limited us. And yeah, getting a group of linebackers. I mean, Justin Sternad was a great aggressive like blitzing linebacker and had a little bit of coverage thing, and then but he is also like he's a little bit lighter than your normal linebacker or whatever, and like so that you give up something there. So yeah, I would love to see out of college. I don't know. I don't know the guys. I haven't been doing a ton of scouting except for like what we're doing for the show. So yeah, if I could come away in the draft with a couple prototypes, give me a big pot roast guy. Give me another Terrence Knighton from back in the day. Give me a linebacker that like that's the one I'm willing to go high in the draft if we need to go first round or whatever, first second round to get a linebacker that can do it all. Do that, and then lastly a tight end. Those are my three that I really want to see addressed. That's my thought. So Ian, without further ado here, Ian, find me some Broncos. I need some Broncos.
All right. Well, you tell me about this inline white tight end, Red. I got somebody for you right here. This is one of my favorite players in the draft right now. His name is Eli Raridan. He is a tight end from Notre Dame. Okay, let me talk a little bit about Eli Raridan here, Rhett.
Okay.
Okay, listen, there's a lot of talented tight ends in this class. There's a lot of them that, kind of fit the big receiver mold, which I'm not as big of a fan of. You got guys like Justin Jolie from North Carolina State. You got Eli Stowers
Mhm.
from Vanderbilt. Okay. You got guys like that who are just incredible movers, and they'll probably be able to impact the game at the next level. But they're tight ends doing wide receiver things. Rhett,
Mhm.
give me the big old fellas. And Eli Raridan, he's tall, brother, 6'7", 251 pounds. Okay. He's the son of a Notre Dame offensive lineman named Scott Raridan. Okay. Listen, Rhett,
Ooh.
I know you were probably thinking this when you heard his height and weight. And yes, you're correct. He was a very good basketball player in high school. Second
Hey.
team All State in Iowa as a basketball player. Okay. This guy is a great athlete. Now, a couple things to know. He has torn the same ACL twice. Okay, once during his senior year of high school while playing basketball, but then also during his true freshman year at Notre Dame. So it really wasn't until 2024 that he was able to stay healthy for a full season. He was able to play in every
Mhm.
single game leading up to the national championship, and then he broke out in 2025. Okay. Here's what I like about Eli Raridan. Okay, again, in a class full of those big wide receiver tight ends, all those
Mhm.
move F tight ends, this guy, I think he's a true inline Y at the next level. He is fantastic at finding space. Okay, now that's
Ooh.
interesting because I don't know if you remember Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame tight end from last year. That's something
Yeah.
I thought Mitchell Evans did really well, but I think Raridan is even better at it. You can just tell. I don't know if it's because he has had the time with rehabbing to just really study. He has a really good knowledge of defensive coverages. He knows in the short to middle area of the field. He knows the soft spots where to sit. But then also he uses that vertically as well. He's got enough speed that the safeties kind of have to respect him as a vertical threat. Okay.
Mhm.
And so he knows how to get open at every level of the field. Okay. Uh, Listen, really good, strong hands. Okay. He will make the tough catch in traffic. He'll hold on to
Mhm.
the ball through contact. I was really, really impressed with that. That kind of pops up in a lot of different places when you watch him. Listen, he right now he is an effort blocker. He puts his effort into blocking, and he's pretty good at it, despite
Mhm.
at 251 but 6'7", it's kind of a leaner frame, right? And
Yeah.
so despite that leaner frame, he's doing a good job. He wants to block. You can tell. George Payton, I think it was this last offseason at the combine, said, hey, it's easier to take the good athlete and turn him into a good blocker. It's not just you can't just take a good blocker who's a bad athlete and just turn him into a good athlete.
Mhm.
I think Raridan is one of those guys who that's not just something in theory, but in practice, your coaches can accomplish, making sure, to continue to improve him, improve his blocking. Okay, so I'll talk about things I noticed about him that aren't great
Mhm.
that'll have to be addressed. Okay, um, let's see here. So blocking when his stance, he gets out of his stance real high, and that's part of his issue
Okay.
right now. Now, here's the deal: he's 6'7". Okay,
6'7". Yeah.
that's part of it. But it is something that's going to have to, it's going to have to be coached out of him. He's going to have to learn, despite his height, to get lower out of his
Mhm.
stance. I think that the weight, I think it's fine in college. I do think he's going to need to pack on, particularly like in the lower body. He's going to need to pack on more weight at the next level
Mhm.
if he's going to want to blossom into an inline Y. Then that's just going to be part of it. And then, like another thing, I personally don't find this to be a huge deal, but it's definitely something like he doesn't. You don't see a whole bunch of like yak. I wouldn't consider him a yak demon.
Mhm.
Okay. He's not a guy that he's not going to give you a ton of wiggle. He's not going to be, breaking people's ankles and everything. I think that Raridan is a guy who he's going to get open for you because he knows where he's supposed to be and he knows how to get there. But I don't think he's the type of guy like a Tyler Warren where you jump off to him and he's going to, make dudes miss and all that stuff. I just don't think that's the type of player he is, Rhett.
Yeah.
And then the obvious thing, the elephant in the room is obviously injury history. How do teams feel about him? Like, how do the medicals come back this offseason? That's going to be important for him. But Rhett, overall, like I look at this guy, I think he has the potential to be one of those every down tight ends. I'm a big fan of him. Rhett, I found out I listened a few weeks ago to the NFL Stock Exchange. They did their tight end
Mm-hmm.
rankings, and Connor has him at 2. He has Eli Reardon at
Oh,
tight end 2, which I was delighted to hear about because I
yeah.
had no clue. I think Trevor didn't even have him in his top 10. Because I think he was kind of concerned about the injuries, but Connor had him too. So yeah, Rhett, Eli Reardon is a guy that I would really be if the Broncos. So much of this depends on draft process, but I think if we grabbed him anywhere past like round 3 or past, I'd be super excited about this kid's potential.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't sound like I don't think we need a yak guy at tight end. Like so often when I was watching the Broncos offense operate, what Bo needed was um, a safety valve guy,
Yeah, yeah,
and uh, Cortland Sutton operated often as that safety valve, and that's fine. And Court was good about being that, but it's harder when your safety valve is the outside X
yeah,
receiver. That just makes things more
yeah,
difficult. And so, if you can have a guy that can get to being an inline blocker and be a a plus or like even just neutral in the run game, and also be a big body, a big target for Bo to find on, when he's navigating the pocket, when he's getting out. And um just I mean, like, honestly, like, it's giving Pat Fryermuth, kind of thing. Like
mm-hmm.
uh
Yeah,
and that's all we need. Like, we you know Evan Ingram does have some yak potential, and does have some of that, and he just didn't have as many opportunities to impact the game
yeah,
that you were hoping, because I think in the Sean Payton offense and the way that Bo operates, I think if we can get a tight end like that, I'm in. Eli Reardon,
yeah. Eli
I'm on
Reardon,
board.
I got my eye on you, brother.
Mm, mm. I love that. It is that the Bronco that you found for us this week? Or do you have any others that you're just itching to talk about? Or
Well, I mean, I have several guys that I like. I don't know that I'm necessarily super prepped to talk about them in depth, but I can
okay.
give you some. I can give you like some little niblets here. Let me see. Where did I put? Yeah. So
Oh,
here's. Sorry. Go
I
ahead.
I was gonna say, you big fan of, what's the name of the Texas State receiver? Uh,
Oh yeah. Oh. No. I think it's. Is it? I think it's Georgia State.
Georgia State,
Ted.
yeah.
Ted Hurst. Yeah,
Ted Hurst.
dude.
Ian, you
Ted
texted you
Hurst.
texted me about Ted Hurst
I
before
was.
the
I
Senior
was.
Bowl. He came out and
I was late to
absolutely
the
killed.
party. I was late to the party on Ted Hurst, but yeah, dude, I like him. I mean, he's 6'3" or something, 200 pounds. He uses every bit of it, man. He is the guy. You look at him and you see like a George Pickens type player.
Hmm.
I think he goes, somewhere early on day 2. I don't know if it's in the cards for us to get him per se, but dude, gosh, do I like him? Yeah, go watch some Ted Hurst. Yeah, he's fun. He's fun.
Hmm.
A couple other guys that I like, just to throw out some names. I already talked about Jake Golday last week. Talked about Eli today. Denzel Boston, wide receiver from Washington. I really like him. Big old
Mm,
6'4" wide receiver. Think he moves great for his size. Carter Smith, offensive tackle from Indiana. I think he's probably one of the guys in this class that's getting kind of overlooked. He's rock solid. We know he's well coached because Indiana right now is a machine. I thought he
mhm.
played really well down the stretch in the playoffs for them. And then lastly, this was one I really like this kid. I cannot find anything written about him, or I can't find anyone talking about him. But Colin Wright, he's a corner for Stanford. Okay,
Mm.
and he's a guy that I've watched a little bit, and I think he wears number 6 for Stanford, if I'm not mistaken. Just a guy who he's physical. He's a guy that's he's experienced. He's been playing at Stanford for a few years. He's not afraid to come up and make the tackle. He's just a guy that I could see, even though no one's talking about him. he could be a guy that sticks around in the league for a long time, at the very least, as like a core special teams player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be keeping my eye on Colin Wright, and I would love to maybe have him start getting some buzz. So, yeah, those are just
Okay.
some of my guys, and a few of those maybe we'll go more in depth on in the future. But yeah,
I
it's a
like
fun
that. I
class.
like that. Um, it's it's exciting. I think this class, um, it's it doesn't seem. This is I'm tell me if I'm just way off base here, but it feels like last year's class was it's exceedingly deep at a lot of position, and it doesn't seem like this class is that. But I am noticing already that there are like I think a lot of different skill sets. We'll see. I think it's setting up well for. Oh,
Yeah,
what am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say it's setting up well for Denver because we have a low draft pick, and it seems like half the first round is just going to be edge rushers this year, and
sure.
that's great. We don't need edge rushers, so that's setting up for us. Like a lot of the top end, there's not a lot of guys that are like crazy high in the draft that I'm just like, oh man, like I think
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Finish
That,
your
that's
thought.
what that's all my thought is like it seems like it's kind of set up to where hopefully we can have someone fall to us and we can do like that Ravens thing where
I
we just like simply
yeah.
let the good player get to us and then draft them.
I think that part of the perception of this draft class too, it's not like the greatest class. I think there's no real like absolutely like generational like last year. I mean, you had Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter, guys that it was
Hmm.
just like, hey, hang your hat on these guys. Even you can, Genty was kind of that way.
Hmm.
There's, you have the years where there's like the Miles Garrett's, guys like that, or even like, the Caleb Williams, there's not like Fernando Mendoza is going to go first overall, and he should. And then
Hmm.
there's some other really good players. Jeremiah Love, I think, is a really, really great running back prospect. There's some O linemen we like a lot. But yeah, I get it. Like the pass rushers, none of them are like they all have like certain things that you worry about a little bit. Even like a guy like Ruben Bain, who's such a cool player, like length
Hmm.
and size is kind of so you're like, I don't know about Keldrick Falk from Auburn is a guy who like he looks like he's cut out of he built in a lab, but you worry about like how much pass rush does he offer,
Hmm.
things like that, versus there's just not a lot of like take this guy to the bank as a prospect. And so I think that's part of what affects the perception of this draft class. But there's good players just like every year, and I'm excited to see what Denver does with it. So
Yeah, and it honestly it feels great to be talking about the draft, to be talking about prospects. I know
yep,
uh, when we envisioned and first had the idea of doing a podcast, kind of our circled goal was we have to pod all the way through the season so that we can get to the draft season so that we can do that. And I am excited to start finding some Broncos with you. And um,
yep,
I will use my limited social media credibility to start doing this Eli Reardon train and get it going and let the people know, So
yep.
if you
We
if
love
you
it.
are listening, if you're listening, let's start a movement all of us together. Um demanding a wide tight end for our sweet precious Bo Nix and um,
That's all I want.
then
Give
let's
me a wide
go.
tight end.
Yeah. Then let's go win
I'm
a Super
tired.
Bowl. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tired of these tight ends that do wide receiver things.
Yeah.
Come on, that's what wide receivers are for.
We used to be we used to be a nation that had standards. We used to be a proper nation with tight ends that were men. We
Exactly,
block.
man.
We
They
did it.
blocked and they didn't care.
And they didn't care. Didn't
Mm,
matter. Put out there against a
put it
280
out there.
pound defensive end. They're gonna move them.
You know what? Whatever happened to Daniel Graham?
Yeah.
What happened to Daniel?
Let's get some
Graham?
Daniel Grahams out there. You go out there, you find
Come
your
on.
local Daniel Graham, you give him a hug, you say thank you for your service. And we're gonna go find the next Daniel Graham, and we're gonna do it here on Long Distance Kicks. Thank you so much, and let's get ready for the ride of this offseason. It's the off